has that.
Okay.
And the floor is yours.
We good? Everybody there? Everybody can hear me? Thumbs up? All right. First of all, sorry I'm a few minutes late here. Obviously, we practiced today, which is unusual circumstance for us practicing on a Monday. But we obviously gave our kids the opportunity to have the day off tomorrow because obviously it's an important day across this country for our kids to go out and vote. So we will not practice tomorrow. Our kids, I would say 50% of them have already voted. We've got them all registered. As maybe you've heard, throughout the time, really back in the summer had them, registered to vote back home and get that taken care of. So we've really stressed that really in the last couple months of making sure that their voices are heard. Next, I think EJ must have insider information because he I think last Thursday, and I kind of mentioned it last Friday, like EJ, emailed me late at night and said, hey, what do you think about doing just a mini presser, I guess, on Friday just to close the chapter on the Notre Dame game. So he must have wanted to make sure we had enough length here today. But as you guys know already, Paris Ford has decided to move on to the next chapter of his life. Paris is a tremendous football player, a tremendous person, a guy that got a lot of respect for, and we appreciate all the efforts he's put in here in his really 3.5, 4 years, and really for the 6 years that we've known him, through the whole recruiting process. We wish him all the best, best in his endeavors as he moves on through this, this football world and the rest of his life. So that's on Paris, that's on voting, and then obviously Florida State, which is really where my main focus is right now, and obviously replacing Paris Ford in the lineup, and a guy that we've got a ton of confidence in. I think I might have mentioned a week ago or 2 weeks ago about it. We feel like he's a starter, I think Brandon Hill is a guy that has played the last couple weeks. He's played a lot of special teams. He's a playmaker. He's physical. He's strong, and he'll be the guy that'll line up and play in that position as we sit here today. And again, we've got I think a very, very talented football team in Florida State coming in. When you look at it, Mike Norvell is a heck of a football coach in his first year, so he's been busy just trying to install his offense, his defense there at Florida State, and probably had one of the toughest jobs going in, like any coach that comes in with, a whole new staff, a new coordinator on offense and defense, without spring ball. So what you see out of Florida State is a constant improvement, every single week. Without having spring ball and maybe an abbreviated camp, I don't know what you call it, that we had, in this 2020 period. So I don't know how their practices were compared to ours, but they've gone through 4 quarterbacks on offense. Rodemaker, Purdy, what was the big number one, Blackman. And now they've found their guy, I think. Travis, Jordan Travis, number 13, is a football player. I really, really like that guy. He's the key to their offense. They'd like to run it. He'll throw the RPOs. We'll see the tee shoots. They'd like to copycat what they see on tape. So we've worked, a ton of different stuff that we've seen through the year. Anything that's hurt us, actually, the last 3 years we've worked on. Just looking at, we've had 2 weeks to prepare for them. And again, I'm sure we'll see stuff that we didn't know we'd see. But they found their quarterback in Travis. They're talented in the backfield. They got 3 tailbacks that play a ton for them. They don't have quite as many starts on that offensive line as the last team we faced. And then on defense, Marvin Wilson, starts with him, an All-American up front. Their front four is an ACC front four. When I first got into the ACC a few years ago, I thought it was a quarterback conference. This year, I feel like it's a D-line conference, especially with Notre Dame being in it. So, it's a talented crew that I think gets better. They have obviously had a big upset win over North Carolina on their schedule, and they had a little confidence, and obviously got stumbled by Louisville, and they come into our game, with an open week as well. So they got time to study and figure out what they want to do as well as we do. So with that, that was long. I'll open it up for questions.
Pat, in your conversations with Paris, what was his main reasons for not finishing the season with his teammates?
I think, everybody's got decisions to make. And, all along, Paris has had these thoughts in his mind going back to last year in February, when he decides to stay. And then there's all the opting out going on in the middle of summer during camp. So he took a few days back then to think about it long and hard. And I can't fully answer that. Those are decisions him and his family have got to make. They're business decisions, they're family decisions, and one that we respect. Just stuff that he's got to do.
Pat, did he come to you over the off week or even before that to let you guys know of that decision? How did that kind of happen there?
Yeah, I mean, we've had conversations last week. We had conversations this week. As early as this morning was our last conversation, and one yesterday. So there's been conversations. Yeah, there's always conversations.
Pat, is there any concern that just simply because the results haven't been there as a team that influenced his decision? And as a coach, do you worry about that? If things sort of don't go your way, that more kids are going to be like, "I'm good."
Yeah, I think everybody, has got decisions to make. I don't see that as an issue, I think we're good there. I mean, I don't see it as an issue.
You don't expect any other players to opt out here, Pat?
No, I don't at all. I don't see that, but I don't have a crystal ball, and you never know. But I don't see that right now. No.
Pat, you mentioned Brandon and what he does well. What's the opportunity you think here for him, especially with this being a free year, if you will?
Yeah, I mean it's a next man in, Jeff. I mean, it's an opportunity for that guy to take it over and be the future safety at that spot. And I really think you guys will be impressed with what you see back there out of him. I think he's a fantastic football player. He's athletic, he's tough, he's physical, and he flies around with a ton of effort. So again, it's the next man up. It's the next opportunity. It's a great opportunity for him, and that's really what my focus goes to is obviously to Florida State, like we did in practice today, and focus on what we can control and the guys that are in those meeting rooms and on that football field.
And how have you seen the team react to Paris's news?
It really hadn't been a whole lot of talk. I mean, I think, maybe they have talk by themselves, but again, I'm focused on, Florida State, and I think our football team went out and had a nice practice today, and that's where the focus is. So if you guys got any more questions, let's try to focus on Florida State. How about that?
Well, maybe sort of on that time, but one of the things Paris brought to your team was he was an energy guy, a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of time. How do you try to keep that up? Not just losing him, but you lost 4 games in a row. And do you think that is a concern for your team right now?
It's not a concern for me right now. I think our kids are excited to go down to Florida State and play a really good football team, and he is an energy. But we got other guys with energy, and I think offenses and defense feed off each other, and we need to feed off each other better. Just last week we talked about playing with just celebrating more. Period, and prior to even knowing anything about what's happened today, really. So we got other energy guys. It's not one guy that has energy, and nobody else is. Everybody else is a bunch of zombies out there.
Any update on Kenny today?
No, I wish I could tell you. I wish I could say and confirm that he's good to go. I think he gets better every week, and Jerry will tell you really talk about injuries, but we'll just keep working at it. So.
Pat, you mentioned on Friday that Joe Yellen took most of the snaps last week in your 2 practices. Is that still the case this week?
Yeah, he's still taking the majority. Kenny can go out and throw, but he's not moving great right now, obviously. But he can, he's out there watching at least this week.
Yeah, Pat, they say, insanity, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over to get and expecting different results. With your running game, what are your options there other than just block the guys better, hit the holes harder? I mean, what can you do to try to improve it outside of just running the same,
Well, you got to change it up a little bit, and obviously we like to throw the ball. That's where our strength is at least throwing the football. So you got to work on it. And I guess we'll find out if we make you insane for another Saturday in a row. Hope not.
I'm a little more worried about your sanity than mine at this point. But I mean, at some point, do you get to the point and say, "Hey, look, that's just something we're not good at with this year, and let's just throw it 78 times and see what happens"?
No, we ain't doing that. We're going to continue to try, and eventually just keep pounding that rock. The first hit might not make it, but after that 115th, 200th, 2000th, hit on that stone, that thing will crack open, and that's what we got to continue to push and work to dig through that thing.
And is he giving you any indications that he might earn more playing time? He hasn't played much the last three games.
Yeah, we'll see. It's a day by day. I mean, he's still a puppy, as I like to call him. He's a great kid, and sometimes it just takes a little longer. I mean, you still go back to that spring ball, day 3. You guys saw the same thing I saw, and again, it's just it's a process, and you got to trust the process, whether it's in the run game, or in having patience, with your players. Period. So we'll find out. We'll find out on Saturday if Izzy gets a few more carries, and we'll see.
Pat, there were some coaches around the country that weren't a fan of Election Day being a mandatory day off. I guess because of the COVID tests and practices, and these kids have a schedule. What were kind of your thoughts when you found out that the NCAA made that a mandatory off day?
You know what? I think at first the ACC made it mandatory, I believe, and then the NCAA came in and was like, hey, we think, but I think the ACC did that, so my hat goes off to Commissioner Swafford in making that decision, number one. I was not real happy when I first heard about it back in the day because we were scheduled to play Virginia Tech, I believe, in the first schedule, not the third schedule, and we were scheduled to play Virginia Tech on a Friday, I believe. EJ, correct me if it was a Thursday, whatever it may have been. I think it was a Friday. But there's no day off if you're playing a day early. I mean, it was near impossible. Matter of fact, I talked to Fuente after that saying, how are we going to take a day off? I said, we're going to have to have a gentleman's handshake. We're going to this game with 2 days of practice. And we would look bad if we did that. But, I think it's a great idea. I think, everybody talks about wanting change, wanting to make an impact, and everybody's vote counts. And I think, it's important for our kids to get out there and don't complain about the results if you don't put your name on that. So I think it's a great idea, and I'm actually so happy because we've got a Saturday game instead of a Friday. So thank the commissioner on that one as well. So to be able to practice today after a week off, I mean, it kind of timed up for us perfectly. Now again, hated to have an open week after 7 games, but it timed up perfectly so we can practice today, give them a day off tomorrow, which for them it's like a normal Monday. They'll come in and watch a little videotape on their own. It's an academic day, and then we practice Wednesday, Thursday. So it kind of goes back to that freshness thing. So, again, I don't think we're a fresh team. I see a little bit more speed on our field right now, and I like what I see.
You talked about Brandon Hill. Who's another guy or another couple guys that need to kind of step up with Paris being gone?
Judson Talander, I mean, has been a guy that, I'm texting last week after Thursday's practice, saying, Judd, like you're playing really good. Like he's coming around, and, I could pull out his text and show it to you, but he's like, Coach, I got more confidence than I've ever had. Like I'm locked in, which is good to hear. So Judd is one of those guys. And Buddy Mack's a guy, even last week, I mean, we put him in there to get some reps, and he's got recall. And so Buddy Mack is another guy that you could possibly see on the field. And obviously you got Eric Hallett, he's a swing guy. He's probably the most versatile football player on our team because he can play, corner, he can play safety, he can play star. I mean, he can do it all. Sometimes I feel bad that we don't get him locked into one home, but he's so good at doing everything. And he's been that Swiss Army knife, I guess.
And I apologize. You indulge me one more. Did Paris have any concerns about COVID in your conversations?
No. We've been really safe, so no. That's your last question, Jerry. You're fired. No COVID questions. We've been really good, Jerry. I mean, talk COVID, and don't you let your guard down either, guys. I continually tell our guys, don't let their guard down. You guys watch the news and you see it spiking everywhere around the country. It's again a great thing that the ACC got us started early. Some teams are starting to play this weekend when it's starting to crank up. We're very, very fortunate to have made it through 7 games. Right now we're trying to get it to 8, and every day is an important day when it comes to wearing your mask and doing the right thing and knowing who you're around and washing your hands. Thanks for the COVID question, Jerry.
Pat, for your players, I mean, this might, for a lot of them, I'm assuming most of them, this is their first time voting in a presidential election. So they might have a little more emotional stake in the outcome than normal. Have you guys talked at all about sort of how to handle it? It looks like this thing might drag out for a while. It's an emotional issue for a lot of people. Have you guys talked about, like, go vote and then come back to work on Wednesday and we'll try to, we'll get inside this bubble and let the rest of the world be the rest of the world?
You know, I don't know. What's the state of Pennsylvania? Have 9 days to get all the votes counted. Did I hear that? Did I hear that? Is that right? 3 days now. I see Larry tell me 3 days. So 3 days is a long time. It's funny. I was in conversation with a couple guys before our meeting started today. Just talking, small talk, and they're like, Coach, we vote on Tuesday, so Tuesday night we'll know. And I'm like, yeah. Usually we kind of know, but I said, this year I don't think we're going to know right away. I mean, it could be up to a week. I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, it's all the unknown. But I think a football team is used to the adversity. We've been through some adversity, and I guess we'll address that Wednesday morning that we don't know who it is at that point. I'm guessing if we don't know, and again, we just go on and play football. We do our job. All you can do is go vote, and then after that, let everything take care of itself. We got too many other things to worry about. I can tell you that. Florida State being the biggest one right now.
Pat, you talked about all the different players you guys have that you're going to be addressing at that secondary. Do you see maybe some different looks or different ideas to experiment with some of the new guys that you have? Because the different skill sets that they might bring and things that you guys might be able to show in your next couple games.
Yeah, some new things you spring. I think about the old, when you were in chemistry class back in the day, and you got that vial and you pour the wrong stuff in there and the thing explodes on you. I'm going to try not to look for any explosions, try to make sure the chemicals are right. I'm going to do what our guys know how to do. I think it's probably the best advice. And again, I got a lot of faith in Brandon. So, I don't think we have to, we got change-ups. We got different change-ups every week. But we just got to play smart and know what we're doing and be consistent back there.
Kelly, I think you had a question.
I was just going to ask, I don't even know if Coach knows yet about the Steelers news about the 4 Ravens testing positive.
No,
and so with the
Steelers
idea. Being so close, I mean,
I should stay away. I should stay away. I text Coach Tom back and forth, and congratulations to the Steelers 7-0 start. That's awesome. He's a tremendous football coach, and they've been safe. And we watch their protocols are just like ours. That's not good news. That's not good news for And again, you look at what we've been going through, and I don't understand what's going on with the NFL. I think our PCR tests have been really good. I'm happy with our testing, and I did not hear that, so I appreciate you letting me know that, because that's something I'll pass on to our team again Wednesday morning when we meet next. That's just like you don't know, and I try to mention it every single day, whether it's in a team meeting or post practice, about just being smart and doing the little things right. That's not good what's happening in Baltimore then. 4 turns to 8.
We have a final question for Coach before we wrap up. Anyone? Okay. Well, thank you very much for joining us. Coach, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Have a great one.
I encourage everyone to exercise their right as Americans to go vote tomorrow. Thank you very much. We're off until Wednesday. Have a great day, everyone.
All right, Seth. Good work.